Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeart Radio Network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America. Thank you so much for following Big C Sports. Also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Thank you for following Big C Sports. We know you love Canada, Big C, so I'm gonna lay off the national anthem at least for one day, Big C, so that we love you, Canada. But there's no one I love more than you good old boys down south in the land of the free, in the home of the brave. How's it going for you good old boys, Big C?
I don't know if it's going to get much better. I'm the island life down here in the Caribbean. It's going to make it kind of tough to leave. Sitting here, waking up every morning, looking out at the ocean, Charlton, just a breathtaking view. But I found they had this little libation down here called White Hennessy.
Uh-oh.
And it's a moonshine or running. I'm up against the story. I went out this afternoon and I went to a Little League baseball game. You and I had talked about the Caribbean influence in Major League Baseball and how they're able to get these young kids at such an economic value that, because they come from these impoverished island nations.
Yeah.
And so Major League Baseball kind of takes advantage of the situation. But when I looked out there and saw that youthful talent, Charlton, that's here and it's pure. And you don't see parents riding their kids, trying to get to the next level. What they're doing is enjoying and having the same enthusiasm, Charlton, in the stands that the kids have on the field. And it was a breath of fresh air. It took me back some 50 years, being involved in it myself, in Little League Baseball and seeing how fun that game really was, Charlton. It was just a great sight. Be in the stands and watch that today.
Well, it's always exciting. Today is a beautiful April the 5th, 2017. And when you bring up that story, Big C, about a lot of the parents, a lot of the kids that get involved, in whether it's March Madness that we just concluded, whether it's something like baseball, and you're down there in South America, Big C, everybody knows that baseball is a great game. You don't have to be rich to play it. I know some good old boys that they didn't have enough money for baseball, so they play with the rocks, a rock and a stick, just to hit the ball and get the mechanics down. But you did bring up a point that a lot of people don't even think about. A lot of the Latin influence in the United States is because they get the labor cheap. I know we talk about cheap labor in China and Mexico, but Major League Baseball, even Manfred, the reason Major League teams go down there now, as opposed to a lot of the inland cities or the inner cities, the labor's cheaper. They'd rather have someone who they don't have to pay a lot as opposed to paying a lot. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, it is really true, Charlton. You get one of these young men from one of these impoverished nations in Charlton, you bring them into the U.S. and you give them, a little bit of money, but in their life, in their culture, it's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You say you get one of these kids less than $100,000 to sign.
Yeah.
You can't sign an American kid for less than $1 million now, Charlton.
And that's for college for some of you good old boys programs.
Over several seasons, trying to get him ready for the major leagues, Charlton, and you have to invest $1 million in one of these kids. We'll look at the top draft pick that comes out of college baseball this year, Charlton.
Yeah.
And, whoever drafts him, this is the number one pick overall, whether he's out of high school in the major league. This is somebody, Charlton, that will get a guaranteed contract upwards to $15 to $25 million.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, easily.
Sign one of these kids from these Latin American islands, Charlton.
Yeah.
And bring him in his first 5 years in pro in the major league. They want to invest $1 million in him, Charlton. So there's quite a bit of disparity, and it's a bit of taking advantage of. We've talked about this a lot, Charlton, when we looked at college sports, how the universities are making billions of dollars. We just witnessed one of the greatest Final Fours, that we've had.
In a long time, yeah.
If you think about the past 2 Final Fours, Charlton, have been ultimately competitive.
Yeah.
As far as in the championship game. And these players get a uniform, and they get a sweatsuit, they get a baseball cap. And they crown the national champ. Yes, they'll get a ring, Charlton.
Yeah.
But when we talk about the dollars, you tell me what Roy Williams' bonus was for winning a national championship. I guarantee it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000. His bonus on top of the multi-million-dollar contract that he has with the University of North Carolina that he already received.
Yeah, and
but I guarantee you that he's bracket minimum, Charles,
Yeah.
for winning a national championship. There's no notes made about that through ESPN, through Fox, or any other sports outlet.
No,
but
and
the players will get their national championship uniform.
Yeah.
Will get their national championship baseball cap off, and then maybe in the pair of national championship sneakers.
I tell you.
Roy Williams is getting $500,000, Charles. And also, how much money is the University of North Carolina receiving, Charles, by participating in this 16-game tournament?
Yeah, it's a great question to bring up, because as long as you get this free labor and you're down there in the southern part of the world now, Big C, a lot of people, they just get by every day trying to find food, clothing, and shelter. And here in the United States, this system has worked out a great way, and I'm going to call it exploitation, because that's what it is when you don't pay people, okay? When you don't pay the engine that makes the car run. And primarily over the last 40 years, that's been the black athlete, Big C. I'm just saying, there's all kind of sports all over the world and all over the country, but how many of them are making money in the billions of dollars and not paying their athletes for that? We talk about getting an education, but an education is really like being exploited by the people who can. You can't tell me, and no one can make the argument, that a coach cannot coach for less than $1 million. He has to have 4 or 5, or in Coach Krzyzewski's case, $10 million. You can't even pay the guys who help you make that money minimum wage, Big C?
Well, Charles, we see that all across the landscape of college sports. You know, we look at your buddy Urban Meyer, Jim Harbaugh, Nick Saban, all of these guys got north of a $7 million contract on the college football level. You do 13 games in a season, Charles, and you're making north of $7 million. And we know your buddy Harbaugh is around 9 and around 9 also. But, you know, when you think about that, how much work is there? You got a coaching staff. You're the CEO, you know, and granted, you go out and participate in practice, but you have coaches for every position, Charles.
Yeah.
You have a coach for the water boy. You know, you think about this, you got a guy coaching him how to distribute water.
How to drink the water? Is that what it is? Yeah.
That are making these huge amounts of money, Charles. And people will think, well, these players are getting education.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd love for the public to understand.
Yeah.
When a coach gets tired of you as a player, he can yank your scholarship in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
I saw Nick Saban do that last year when he had a grad student who wanted to transfer back to the University of Georgia where he grew up.
Yeah.
Now, he had already graduated from the University of Alabama. Nick Saban blocking this kid from going back to play at the University of Georgia because he's in the same conference. People don't realize how much power that these coaches have over these young men's lives. And at any point that you want to yank a scholarship, that kid is gone for whatever reason you state as a head coach. It didn't work out, so you take his scholarship, and he may not be able to get into another university. Just like we saw Nick Saban said, I will not allow you to go to this university because I don't like, you know, this university.
Yeah.
That's basically that slave owner mentality, Charles.
Yeah.
No, you can't go where you want. You don't have the freedom as a grown man. You don't have the freedom to move about to whichever university you want because I used to own you. And I still own you. That's basically what Nick Saban told this young man. His name was Smith. He was a defensive back who had graduated from the University of Alabama. But Nick Saban went public and said, I own you.
Yeah.
I forbid you from going to another university within our conference.
And that's part of the whole problem, because people don't talk about it other than Big C Sports. And I hope that we can bring change to it. One more thing I'll bring up for the African-American athlete is the fact that, if you recall, Big C, back in the day when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson went up against each other, I think it was Michigan State and Indiana State.
1979, Indiana State, Michigan State. And Larry Bird started out at the University of Indiana under Bobby Knight. And I think if Bobby Knight had done that to Larry Bird, say, I forbid you to go to another school in the state of Indiana, we would never have the Larry Bird legacy, Charles.
That's true. And again, no one's seen Larry Bird since somebody in Indiana hit that $400 million Powerball. So I don't know if we'll ever see Larry Bird, Big C. But just think about this. That game was played in an arena that I think it held about 15 to 20,000 people. Now, about 15,000. And so a lot of people credit Magic Johnson and Larry Bird for bringing a lot of, attention to March Madness and the championship game. It also had a black-white thing going on back in the 70s, just being a decade out of Jim Crow being abolished. And you think about it, they can go into I think they had over almost 78,000 people at the Final Four. and down in Phoenix, Arizona, or Glendale, Arizona now, Big C, primarily. Yeah, I count it one at a time, Big C. When you get the high definition programs and the eyeglasses, you can see it all. But you think about how much more money's come in, and they still are saying we don't have enough money to give these athletes. And I just want to bring something up, and this is almost. I mean, people might say this would never happen. Okay, remember North Carolina? The state of North Carolina was boycotted by the NBA. They would not take the All-Star game there. And so North Carolina, the state lost so much money, okay? They've since overturned, they repealed that bathroom bill, okay, that discriminated against people, and now they are open again to hosting the NBA All-Star game and other events that they were losing money on. So you know what? They decided to treat all people the same. Why? Because they got boycotted and they lost a lot of money. When will the black American athlete and some of the top black attorneys around the country realize if the black athlete boycotted March Madness, they would lose $1 billion? Then you start getting people paid. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you look at what the NCAA did, the NBA, by moving that All-Star game out of Charlotte.
Yeah.
And people say sports and politics don't mix.
Oh, it mixes.
I was thinking that was both. That was synonymous with each other.
Yeah.
Politics what they could not do. Okay?
Yeah.
That's how powerful sports is in America, Thompson. That sports can tell politics what they cannot do. Just like the president told the NFL owners, you can't sign this black quarterback. All right? So sports and politics do mix, Thompson. And one can control the other. Black athletes and all professional and college sports have more power than what they give themselves credit for, Thompson.
Yeah.
I think even in the leadership that they all possess, that they don't possess enough leadership to direct that.
Yeah.
That you have to take a stance for all the people that you represent, and even more so, Charlie, you have to take a stance for all the people who buy your product, even more so. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
You think about what would the Final Four look like, Charlie, if there were 78 people in there instead of 78,000 people in there, okay?
Yeah, definitely.
It would have looked like an obscure college bowl game instead of a national championship game.
Well,
so these are the things that everybody needs to understand. When the black athletes decide that they've had enough, that you're not satisfied any longer with a sweatsuit and a pair of tennis shoes, that you want your guys to decide, then you got to put your foot down, as they say, draw that mark in the sand, draw that red line in the sand.
Yeah.
So we're not going to cross it anymore.
Well, Big C, what do you guys got going on down south? Did Trump's immigration team show up to try to get some more free labor to come to the United States? Seems like you're in a combat zone down there, Big C. Is everything okay?
We had this ambulance running by, and unfortunately somebody probably was in an accident or something, but
yeah.
It ran by down on the street down the hill, and so it just resonates up the hill because it's just so quiet here, Charles. There's nothing to baffle the sound.
Yeah.
And so the sound will just carry it.
Big C, wait a minute. I just wanted to make sure that you didn't leave some of that moonshine uncovered when you took it down there to the South Big C. Them good old boys, they tell law enforcement. Now, this is not a silly story, but it's a real story. As an insurance broker, we're trying to get some sports insurance for some athletes down in Mexico, and they actually have kidnapping insurance. Now, being here in the United States, we don't think much about that, but that's a big deal. You got to have kidnapping in your insurance policy. You know who's kidnapping the people? It's the law enforcement, Big C. Your thoughts? Oh, yeah.
To me, the greatest film he ever did was called Man on Fire.
Yeah.
Because as a dad, this was the love of a child that he possessed in this movie, Charles, and it was his greatest acting role. He didn't even get nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
He got nominated for being a criminal.
Yeah.
But not a man of passion.
Isn't that something?
In this movie, the role was about, Mark Anthony was in this movie also, about kids being kidnapped for money.
Yeah.
Down in Mexico, just as you spoke about, and law enforcement were the people that were kidnapping him in this movie. But Denzel Washington in this movie, I mean, it still resonates with me today. Every time I would see my children,
yeah,
I would think about that. That you would do anything for your child, and I think I speak for all parents out there, is that our job as parents are protectors.
Yeah.
And that we will do anything for the safety and sanity of our child, and that's the role that Denzel Washington played in that movie. If you've never seen the movie Man on Fire as a parent, I highly recommend that you pull it up on the internet. You go to some video store, Redbox or whatever, and rent that movie Man on Fire. As a parent, it's breathtaking movie, Charlton. I mean, everybody should see that movie.
Yeah, and you just brought up a very good point, and I just wanted to mention that everybody understands, like we talk a lot about Escalade, the standard of the world, and when you go by and test drive it, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you as sponsors of the show. But something to keep in mind, too, is that Denzel Washington, and you're in a different part of the country, you're outside of the United States, so a lot of people look at America as the land of the free and the home of the brave, where you have opportunity here until Donald Trump got into office and tried to make everything segregated again, like back in the day. But if you think about this, all of the times that people want to go out and do anything, we've had so much hatred against the Mexican Americans now because Donald Trump has his word illegals that he uses to describe human beings, and now they've taken on so much hatred, and crime is actually up in some communities because people are afraid to call law enforcement. And that it's not that the Hispanics are creating the crime, but the Mexicans are creating crime against themselves. There's a lot of times where sometimes people who happen to have white skin will commit crimes against some of the people from Mexico because they know they can't report it, Big C. That's why law enforcement and some attorneys that have been on TV talking about that. So what Donald Trump has done is it crosses all borders throughout the world, Big C. We don't need that type of hatred. And just thinking of POTUS, they had Bannon, his right-hand man. We know Bannon was trying to run things. But the FBI has turned up the heat so much on them good old boys, the same way you guys do on Catfish. Bannon has stepped down. They said he can't be part of the Security Council. Big C, your thoughts? They made it look like that. Yeah.
Something that he never should be on.
Yeah.
But let me give America a bit of a side note here about the President Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Just 2 days ago, Charlton, he was in the White House, and he signed this, executive order for women for equal pay and all this in America. It was just something of note. He needed something for a press.
Even the women he grabbed by the vagina.
Once
Yeah.
that press op was over, they went into another room.
Yeah.
And the President of the United States signed an executive order. And this should appall every American, even the Americans who voted for him,
Yeah.
even the Americans who believe in the Second Amendment, which we all do. I'm not against people owning guns, Charlton. I'm not against the Second Amendment right in America.
Yeah.
But this should appall every American that Donald Trump signed an executive order. This is what Donald Trump did 2 days ago, Charlton. He signed an executive order stating that anybody with mental illness could not be denied the right to buy a gun. He signed an executive order 2 days ago.
That's a joke.
2 days ago, the President of the United States signed an executive order. And this is how important it is, people.
Yeah.
That if somebody is suffering with a mental illness, that they can still buy a gun. Now, remember the man just about a month and a half ago down in the Fort Lauderdale airport down in Florida.
Yeah.
Who flew in from Iraq, who said he had a mental illness. He had been in Iraq, more of that.
Yeah.
He turned himself into the FBI 6 weeks before he had done this, Charlton.
Yeah.
The FBI cut him loose. He gave his gun back. He catches a flight 6 weeks after that to Fort Lauderdale, Charlton, flying through Minneapolis on Delta Airlines. Ripped off and killed 5 people in baggage claim on video, Charlton.
Yeah.
And wounded a dozen others. He had a mental illness. And Donald Trump said that's okay. Now remember Newtown.
Yeah.
The little grammar school 3-4 years ago, Charlton, and President Obama went and had to give the eulogy to these 22 children that
Yeah.
were under the age of 7 years old, Charlton.
Yeah.
President Obama and his wife, Michelle Obama, gave the eulogy for several of these families, Charlton. And Donald Trump, and this kid, everybody said he had a mental illness that went in and shot up the school with these little kids and the teachers, Charlton.
Yeah.
Donald Trump told America 2 days ago that it's okay to have another Columbine, to have another Aurora, Colorado shooting.
Yeah.
Another have a Newtown grammar school shooting. That people with mental illness, that it is okay and you cannot deny them their Second Amendment right, the right to bear arms, even though they're mentally unstable, and they have the right to go in. And even the Charlton shooting, Charlton, down in the church in Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah.
That these people are allowed to buy guns, and you cannot deny them the right to go out and shoot other Americans because they have a mental disparity.
And that's crazy, because you think about how many sports arenas all over the country, of course, even in the media, going into any sports arena, even going through media, they got to check you. They got to go through your bag and give you the proper credentials. That's going through media. But no one checks you when you're walking outside the stadium. Anyone can walk up to the point of media check-in, or whether you're a fan buying tickets, and who knows what you're going to have or what kind of situation you might be in. So I just think that's a crazy thing. And important. Yeah.
Arkansas, the state of Arkansas is a red state.
Yeah.
Okay? Just last week, the state of Arkansas passed a bill that you're allowed to carry a loaded firearm into a sporting event.
That's horrible.
Whether it's high school, college, or professional. The state of Arkansas, a red state that carries Donald Trump, and all of this just goes along with what he's doing right now. This has become a very dangerous place in sports in America. You think about this. Now, how many confrontations break off in sporting arenas? When it's just heated, banter back and forth, or infuriating.
Yeah.
And Arkansas is a stand-your-ground state, Charles. And you can see that you felt threatened, and you can kill a person in a sporting arena, Charles, because it's a stand-your-ground state. And we know how many heated battles. Everybody who listens to sports has seen these heated battles go on in the stands at sporting events.
Yeah.
But under Donald Trump, there has been a law passed in the state of Arkansas that you can carry a loaded firearm into a sporting event, and he signed an executive order 2 days ago that said you cannot deny a mentally ill person the right to buy a firearm in America.
And that's crazy when you have sporting arenas. Even recall the situation down in Los Angeles. This was several years ago. There was a San Francisco Giant player that was beaten up by some LA Dodger fans. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, a fan, yeah. Yeah.
Attacked by a couple of Dodger players. This man has suffered serious brain injury, Charles, and he will never recover from the serious brain injury.
Yeah.
And brain surgery that he had to undergo. He's under mass physical therapy that he's had to go. These men have been incarcerated for what they did to this man out of him because it was on
Yeah.
from the stadium.
Yeah.
It happened. But this is what we talked about, Charles. This was a physical confrontation, okay? They went to this, they jumped on him, which was illegal and rightfully prosecuted, Charles.
Yeah.
By the DA department down in Los Angeles. But now, let's say that's in a minor league ballpark in Arkansas, or in the University of Arkansas football or basketball or baseball game, Charles. We know how people in the South get heated, all right?
Yeah.
So what if that happens in a high school game, Charles? That a rival school comes in and one team's all minority and the other team's all white, Charles, and we know the racial divide is because of the state.
Yeah.
And you don't like what's going on because this African American team is trouncing this white team. And now this little boy has the right to pull out the gun and say, well, I felt threatened because they were talking about my son.
Yeah.
All right?
Well,
and start shooting.
Well, you know.
He is legally protected in the state of Arkansas now.
And think about that too when the Olympics we're trying to get the Olympics to come to Los Angeles, and a lot of the people all over the world, we saw what just happened in Syria. A lot of the people in the world right now, they used to be able to look to America for guidance, but they can't look to guidance for America now. And what happened over in Syria, President Trump yesterday, they didn't want to say anything about it. Today he comes back and says, well, that crosses the line. But he never said anything about Russia that actually built up that resistance, them good old boys over in Syria that gassed their own citizens. Didn't say anything to Putin about that big C. So that's just a lot of issues going on. And if he blames President Obama for anything else, yeah.
President Obama had the serious gas removed from Russia, okay?
Yeah.
Over a year ago, it went back to us. He told Bashar al-Assad that gas had to go, and so the gas was gone.
Yeah.
But that gas was over in Russia, and Charleston, that's where the gas was produced.
I know. The whole world knows that. The whole world knows that.
He said nothing about Putin and the gas coming from Russia. All he wanted to do was ram-bait, Obama.
Yeah.
And this is Putin and Bashar with the gas.
Yeah.
Obama ain't got nothing to do with it.
Well, when you owe somebody $1 billion for helping you get real estate loans and sometimes not paying taxes on that money, Big C, that's why you can't bring out your tax returns. And don't you dare say anything to the guy that holds the golden egg. Is that what it's called, you good boys down south? When someone has a few $1 billion, you don't criticize them, Big C? Is that what it is?
His son-in-law just came back from the Middle East, Israel, and all that, trying to get some financing flowing because he has this building in New York that is down in the park.
Yeah.
In New York.
Yeah.
It's called 666 is the address of it. And he bought this $1 billion
What? Hold on. Big C. Sometimes I don't hear too. What's the address again?
And the Chinese saw that the FBI was investigating.
Yeah. Hey,
he's over in the Middle East trying to garnish money from the Israelis. Okay.
Yeah, I still want to.
And so you think about that. Why is your son-in-law doing government and personal business on a government jet in the Middle East as a peace broker?
Well.
What's he doing? He never know when they're trying to get money and garner up business.
Well, that's called being a fall guy. If you ever saw the movie Goodfellas, them good old boys, you go back to The Godfather, they always sent out the guy that was expendable, Big C, to do the dirty work, you recall those days? but you know, going on in the world of sports and politics, so much is happening, and I just see that all the things happening with that country, it doesn't even feel like America anymore. It just feels like anybody can be crooked, and as long as you keep telling a different lie, no one holds you accountable. And I think the FBI, I just hope they're not caught off guard. Now they're trying to investigate riots about any type of inappropriation, but they still have moved on from the birther movement when he started that about President Obama. That's never been true. And then he tried this ban against Muslims, and the judges overturned that twice. Then he's talking about building a wall. That wall's not going to get built. He said he's going to create jobs. The jobs haven't been created yet, Big C. And now he says that he wants to find out who was spying on him. He blamed the president for spying on him at Trump Tower. That's been debunked by the FBI, CIA. The only thing I hate is when CNN, they follow anything that POTUS says. And it's just a smokescreen. They really, the thing that's happening with him right now, Russia is in the middle of the eye. That's the bullseye. And that's when Maxine Waters said impeachment will start. And Banner's just one of the dominoes that has fallen outside some of those good old boys, Big C. But I want to touch a little bit on what's happening in the world of sports. Even in the world of sports, some things don't make any sense. Tony Romo, which hasn't played a full season in about 2.5 years in the NFL, they put him at CBS Sports with Jim Nantz, and they fired Phil Simms, who's not only won a Super Bowl, he's broadcast Super Bowls in the NFL. So why take a guy with so much experience and replace him with a guy that couldn't even play the whole game for the last 2 years, Big C? Your thoughts?
You know, Charles, we've all tried to understand what's the level there with Tony Romo over the past couple of years. You know, he can't play. He didn't play last season for Dallas. He didn't play the year before for Dallas. Okay?
Yeah.
He won less playoff games than Phil Simms had Super Bowl rings. Okay?
Yeah.
When you think about it, he won less playoff games than Phil Simms had Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
You know, he never was a consistent quarterback. So this love affair that America has with Tony Romo, you think about all the broadcast companies last year talked about how Tony Romo should be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, and yet nobody could beat Dak Prescott.
Right.
Everybody kept trying to say that it wasn't Dak Prescott, that the offensive line, which was the same offensive line
that Tony had.
I believe that. And the same receiving corps.
Yeah.
But, it wasn't because of Dak Prescott, it was because of everybody else. Even though he had one of the highest QBR ratings in the NFL and touchdown interception ratio,
yeah,
it was not him. It was higher than Tony Romo had ever had at any point in his career.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Dak Prescott. But now here's CBS going out on a limb to bring in Tony Romo. Charles, this is a guy with inexperience as a broadcaster.
Yeah.
This is a love affair that's going to fall on CBS's face. He's going to get rid of Phil Simms. He's going to go whether he stays with that company or goes.
Why would he stay? What? But why would he stay?
Sit there and listen to Tony Romo.
Yeah.
Who is not going to be that good, Charles.
So why would Phil Simms? Why would he stay, Big C, if he's replaced by a guy who's a rookie in the business? I mean, they have an A crew, they have a B crew, a C crew, a D crew. They have enough guys who they could have promoted from within that have actually been doing a good job keeping ratings up. Now they're telling every listener that we could take any guy and just put him in here, and Jim Nantz is going to have to carry the load. I mean, Jim Nantz, people have gotten used to his broadcast style. Maybe that's gotten old for some people, and having him with Phil Simms. I'll say Phil Simms is a little bit dull in the booth, but at least he knew what he was talking about. Tony Romo doesn't know anything about winning the Super Bowl. He's never even gotten past an NFC Championship game, Big C. So I don't know what Jim Nantz is going to do, going from broadcasting with an excellent crew at the Final Four, and now he's down with a lot of good old boys at the Masters, and he has to go. He's going to have to train Romo what to do, how to pause, and how to enunciate words in the broadcast booth. He's not the most articulate person. I think CBS probably drank a little bit too much of that moonshine you took up to the Northeast. Big C, your thoughts?
I don't even know how to get between the broadcast companies over Tony Romo.
No.
There's so many guys. I mean, Tony Romo would not even be close to Chris Collins on the NBC. Chris Collins has blown up a lot.
Yeah.
You know, in his broadcast years since joining Al Michaels, taking over for Don Madden.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's so many people out there that's much better than Tony Romo on that broadcast level, talking as an analyst, that would do a finer job than what he's going to do. And I'm not knocking the guy as a person. I'm just saying that what he can do on the air, I don't see it.
No.
So this is a guy who's been sitting on the sideline dinner for the past 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now he's got to go out and analyze all these players that he's been sitting at, being frustrated watching. And I don't think that makes a great analyst.
No.
I think a great analyst comes from the game that he's been successful in, Charlton, and he made that voluntarily move to the broadcast booth, not forced to the broadcast booth,
Yeah.
like a Tony Romo has been, Charlton.
And when you think about it, when the teleprompter stops and he doesn't know what to do, he's going to have Jim Nantz do the whole broadcast. I think the Super Bowl, I'm not sure which one it was, but I think it was one broadcaster doing it. I think it was the Colts at the time playing the Jets. I'm not sure, but it was down in Miami, so it may have been right around one of the first 3 or 4 Super Bowls, Big C. But it was one broadcaster doing the whole broadcast, and it was so hard to follow that broadcast because of one person. And speaking of broadcast, I want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to the billion-dollar industry. Big C Sports can get you covered all over the country through Ben and Mark. Tweet out to us on the iHeart Radio Network every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide on the iHeart Radio Network. Whether you're a pro athlete, a collegiate athlete, even your high schools and mom and pop soccer leagues, we can get you covered through Big C Sports, through Ben and Mark on the iHeart Radio Network. Big C, going back to the world of sports again, and I look at what Russell Westbrook did. Russell is like, I mean, 2 great players I think of that have the name Russell. Russell Westbrook, Bill Russell. Now he tied the great Oscar Robertson last night, but he didn't score a lot of points, Big C. He probably breaks the record the next time he laces them up, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, that next game is tonight, Charles, when he has an opportunity to supplant Oscar Robertson as the all-time single-game triple-double leader in a season in the NBA.
Yeah.
That, you know, he's going for number 42 tonight, but this is a great accomplishment, Charlton, when you think about that, to be able to go for that many triple-doubles in the season and to lead the team. I mean, he didn't score the most points in a triple-double last night, Charlton. The triple-doubles account for contributing in all three aspects of the game.
Yeah.
The scoring, the assist, and the rebound.
Yeah.
And he does it all, Charlton, but his team, you know, responds to what Russell does. But, you know, to get that triple-double last night to tie the great Oscar Robertson, and not many people of today's era are going to remember Oscar Robertson.
Yeah.
Or even know what an Oscar Robertson was. You know, he was great before great was, you know, expected from players.
Yeah.
He did it on a nightly basis. It was just common thought with him. It's just like also LeBron James last night surpassed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and is only trailing Michael Jordan now, Charlton, in the number of games and when you scored at least 10 points in a game. And when you think about that, you know, of the 2 records, the one that really matters is the one that Russell Westbrook tied, because scoring double figures for a team and for a player that is great, who was always in search of championships, I think that's a secondary thought, because he is a scorer.
Yeah.
You know, you're part of making your team win. So Michael Jordan, without Michael Jordan scoring, I don't think the Bulls could have ever done anything. We saw that the one year he set out.
Yeah.
But, you know, him scoring, you know, he scored 10 points and a half.
Yeah.
It means nothing. LeBron scored 10 points and a half.
Yeah.
It means nothing. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar scored 10 points and a half. And LeBron last night had a 723, at least 10-point game, consecutive 10-point game in this game.
Yeah.
Kareem lost that streak when he broke his hand one time when he punched the players. Kent Benson out of he was playing with Milwaukee at the time when Kareem was in Los Angeles. He elbowed him in the sternum.
Yeah.
He turned around and punched him in the broken hand, and that's what broke his streak. Michael's had like 840, consecutive double-digit games, but those things don't mean anything to teams and players who win championships.
Yeah.
That's just part for the record book. But Michael Westbrook, with what he did last night, was something phenomenal, Jonathan, because we're talking about a long-standing record that nobody thought would ever be touched in the NBA.
So Russell, last night also the crowd was chanting MVP, which we hear a lot out here in the West Coast of Golden State when Curry goes to the line. A lot of chants of MVP. You heard that a lot back in the days when Michael Jordan was playing, and you heard it last night with OKC. And I'm so happy for him. Number one, here's a guy who, if you think of Batman and Robin, Batman took off and left Robin to hold down the fort, Big C, back in the days when we watched Batman. But he stayed there, took a lot of criticism. Even I was criticism of him many times. A lot of people were saying he shot the ball too much, and Durant didn't want to stay with a guy who just wouldn't play team ball. He didn't hide from that. He just decided that he was going to take it upon himself to help this team win, and they're a playoff team, and really proud of them. He also acknowledged his parents, which a lot of people do. So just want to say congratulations to him. He's going to be the MVP unless somebody pulls a Donald Trump and has an alternative fact with Kellyanne Conway. If Kellyanne Conway gives out the award, it might go to somebody that's probably not even starting in the NBA Big C. But I also want to... No. Hey, when somebody comes to your house and they put their shoes up on the couch, Big C, that's a little bit too comfortable. You've seen Melania hanging around the White House a little bit more since that happened, if you read between the lines, Big C. Also, I just want to give a thought to, Jason Kidd. He was voted the Eastern Conference Coach of the Month after the Bucks went 14-4. And I'm telling you, he's a great player. Reminds me how he passed the ball so much when Jason Kidd did it. That's what Westbrook is doing. Jason Kidd, a lot like Magic Johnson, they didn't have to score a lot of points for their teams to win. But Westbrook does, and I think that's what puts so much of the onus on Westbrook. And he gets you a Big C award for focus, and I just appreciate the way he plays the game. More people can play the game that way, Big C. A little bit around the NBA. It was the Cavaliers, had a great game last night. You talked about the great LeBron James, and they had a win over the Orlando Magic, 122-102. The Nuggets beat the Pelicans 134-131. The Spurs took overtime to beat the Grizzlies 95-89. The Jazz 106. The Trailblazers 87. You had the Pacers, Indiana. Again, no one's heard from Larry Bird since the $104 million jackpot, Big C. But the Pacers beat the Raptors 108-90. And then you have the Wizards 118 over the Hornets 111. The Knicks, the Posse on Broadway over the Bulls 100-91. And the Nets, did the Nets realize that Philadelphia doesn't play any defense? They scored 141 points, a 141-118 win over Philadelphia. Maybe Allen Iverson can come back, BC. Your thoughts?
Well, Tom, when you look at the NBA the way it is, you talk about Cleveland scoring, we talk about LeBron.
Yeah.
LeBron had a triple-double last night, which made him his top for the season.
Yeah.
And look at Cleveland right now. Cleveland, he's not concerned about being in first place.
No.
He's not over there. I think it's more concerning for Boston to be the first place team in the Eastern Conference, Jonathan.
Yeah.
What it is over Cleveland. Because they really have to prove that they deserve a spot.
Yeah.
Cleveland, we know he's never been good about home court advantage with them. And for the Eastern Conference, the way it's right now, it's Cleveland to lose, Jonathan, once you get to the playoffs. They've proven that they've been the dominant team in that conference for the past couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Has come back to Cleveland. And so, that they had this little tease last week with Clayton Thompson and LeBron. And I think it was much for the media fans saying,
oh, yeah.
saying that this organization is not all together.
Yeah.
But, once it comes down to the sport, Jonathan, they're going to dominate in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. And plus, they'll get the calls that they may not get right now. Let's be real, Big C. When Las Vegas has a lot on the line, sometimes that was a foul, even though he didn't touch him. But I just want to say that when we look at the world of sports, a lot of people going down to Augusta, the good old boy South down there in Georgia. And I think, if I heard the news right, I think that they had Dustin Johnson may have pulled out. He hurt his back. I think he fell down some stairs, or he was pushed down some stairs, or something happened when you hang around good old boys that drink that moonshine down south, and I guess he slipped down some stairs, but that's what they were saying. I don't have the full story yet, but if you can't play in the Masters, what a shame that would be. Have you ever heard of someone falling down before the biggest tournament, Dixie? Your thoughts? You got it, Big C? Could you hear me go? I knew we having some microphone technical difficulties, but can you hear me, Big C? They were saying that Dustin Johnson fell down the stairs, and I just want to make sure that he's going to be okay because they're going to... And they're saying that Dustin Johnson may have fallen down the stairs, so hopefully he'll be fine. We don't know what happened with that, but we'll find out more about what happened with Dustin Johnson down at Augusta for the Masters. I know there's a lot of good golf that everybody's anticipating. They actually had to stop some of the games going on today, the events, because of a lot of weather going on down in the city of Augusta, Georgia, down there in Georgia. So hopefully a lot of people are going to be okay. I know they're expecting some really tough weather coming up. But also we cover everything in the world of sports. We talked a little bit about POTUS and what's going on in the White House. We also brought up how one of the great actors, Denzel Washington, and some of the awards he's won over the years. Of course, we talked about the great Tony Romo and how he's getting a call, from CBS Sports to be a broadcaster in the booth, when really you're going to get rid of Phil Simms, who's one of the, I would say even maybe a Hall of Fame broadcaster. Maybe there's something going on more than what we know, but why not let Tony Romo, cut his teeth on the college level, or even, the college level for a season if you want him that bad. I don't know what it is about him that they want to put in the booth with Jim Nantz. Is really taking your top guy and making him kind of cover the whole show. Major League Baseball, that's in full swing. Looking forward to a lot of great baseball going on in the world of Major League Baseball out here in the West Coast. Really looking at the San Francisco Giants and how strong they're going to be this year, and looking forward to the Oakland A's. They always try to play kind of second fiddle for the San Francisco Giants, but they still have a great setting to go play. And even Mark Davis was saying, if you met that the Raiders are going down to Las Vegas, he tried to get the A's to do something to help build two stadiums in the ballpark right there at the Coliseum, but he's trying to kind of take the shoulder of the blame of what's happening. We know he's going to Las Vegas because $1.7 billion will get a lot of people to move. So if you're going to get caught up in that, obviously the A's are going to be there by themselves. They'll probably have, with their average crowd of about 20,000, more people than what the Raiders will be getting this year, unless some good old boys go out and buy tickets anyway. I know this. It's still great to see a great program like Oakland, but I don't know how the fans could get kicked in the teeth twice in less than 20 years and still go back and support that team. In the NBA, we have Golden State. They're 63-14, first place in the Western Conference, followed by the Clippers at 47-31. And you have the Kings at 30-47, and that's surprising, 30-47 for the Sacramento Kings. At one time, they were looking at being a playoff team, but obviously that's not happening for the Kings. If you look at the NBA Northwest Division, Utah is 48-30, Oklahoma is 44-33, Portland is 38-40. In the Southwest, you have San Antonio 60-17, followed by Houston 52-25, and Memphis is 42-36. Over in the Eastern Conference, should be a dandy going down to the final several games in the season when you're going to have Boston, and they're competing against Cleveland and in the Eastern Conference. But right now, Boston's 50-27 in the Atlantic Division, followed by Toronto at 47-31. New York is 30-48. In the Central, you have Cleveland. They are actually tied with Boston. They are 50-27 on the season. Milwaukee's 40-38, followed by Chicago 38-40. And in the Southwest in the Eastern Conference, actually Southeast in the Eastern Conference, Washington is 47-31, followed by Atlanta at 39-38, and then Miami's 37-40. So a lot of good things happening in the world of sports and basketball. Teams are trying to jockey for position 1 through 8 in the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. We know baseball is starting off strong, and really can't get into that until we get through what's going on with the NBA. But baseball is a game of summer more than in April right now in spring. So we'll look forward to a lot of good baseball happening. Of course, again, the NFL is always a year-round business because there's always people making moves, and we'll always look forward to kickoff when the NFL kicks around. I want to tell you, no matter what you're doing, do your best to make things happen. Don't wait for anyone to make things happen for you. We talked about our sponsors, Cadillac, the Escalade, the Standard of the World. Also, Ben & Mark Insurance with Big C Sports. If you need any type of sports insurance, from sports and athletic events, tweet out to Big C Sports. Also, Big C Sports will be coming soon in the summertime with television. We'll be covering MMA and martial arts all over the globe, starting out in South America, looking to get some things done there with Russia and China also, and of course the United States. A lot of great things happening. It's going to be a great year for Big C Sports as we do more things to spread our sports brand around the world. And as we always tell you, every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the iHeart Radio Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And also, Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. And as we always tell you, there's never any room for domestic violence. If you know any woman going through that garbage, just call 911 so she doesn't have to do it all on her own. As we always tell you, for every program, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.